Welcome to the program.
Thank you, buddy. Good to be with you. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing good, and I'm just looking. I just took your resume for some reason. It's amazing how long you've been in Gainesville. You know,
yeah, it is amazing. That's what my staff tells me all the time too.
I mean, I'm looking. I know about Hobart and all that stuff, and I know you came up through the program and you learned every facet of the business, and you've been there a long time. But you really are. I mean, you may not have graduated from there, but you are definitely pure Gator. That's for sure. Without a doubt.
Well, there's no question. I'm not the oldest guy in the world, but I'm not the youngest. In about 40 years of my life, I've been here working for the Gators. So, you cut me open, it's going to be orange and blue for sure.
I'm sure it does bleed that way. Jeremy, loyalty is a special thing, and you got it, obviously. Some of us have it, but sometimes we get misdirected or we misunderstand things or go down the wrong road. But I just want you to know that the folks of Marion County are speaking through me right now, and that is that we've got a group of people here in town, and you know a lot of the names because they're well connected to the University of Florida, who are going to gather together soon in a location and have their own informal barbecue, and they're going to raise their right hands, and they're going to repeat a certain phrase that goes in the Boys of Old Florida, and that is, you know what it is, in all kinds of weather, through all kinds of weather, we all stick together. And they're saying, as some of them have said to me before, hey, records are nice and national championships are nice, and sometimes we get disappointed, but no matter what happens, University of Florida is my school, and the Gators are my team, and I will always stand behind them.
Oh, buddy, that doesn't surprise me because obviously, as you said, the Ocala area has had some of the strongest supporters of this program for a long, long time. And I've been down there and I've been around them. I know a lot of them personally. Some of the greatest ones that have ever been part of our program have lived in Ocala. Fred Monsioka comes to mind, a dear friend of mine who was had a huge impact on my career. So the fact that would happen is not a surprise to me. And candidly with you, buddy, that's how I feel. Majority of our fans are. I mean, obviously when we're not as successful as people want, people are disappointed, but we have a strong, fan base who are with us through thick and thin. It's been that way for as long as I've been here.
That's good to know, and of course, Fred Monsioka was one of my favorite people ever, along with Red Mitchum and that whole gang of guys that sort of
no question.
It took me down the path, orange and blue path, when I was a kid, and taught me the ropes as well. So let's get down to some business talking here. I mean, this college football thing, amazing. You've been there since '81, right? So you've seen a lot of things happen, and you've been a part of a lot of them. And you are, of course, a lot of the hardware they have in their trophies is because of people you've hired on the job and accomplishments that your teams have had. Won in the Cup so many times there for all sports. The power conference situation has changed the landscape. We've had heard a lot of talk about it, heard a lot of talk about it at SEC Media Days, and there's a lot to learn. Right now, as it stands, are you pleased with the direction of college sports, particularly college football, and what it might lead to?
Yeah, I'm especially pleased, buddy, by the fact there's going to be some restructuring on the horizon. I think a lot of people, they hear that and they think it's going to be, the 5 quote-unquote power conferences are going to break off and do their own thing, and, people are going to be left by the wayside, what have you. I think more than anything else what that means is, we're going to be able to make some decisions that, to enhance our programs and enhance the opportunities for our student athletes. That's all this conversation is really about. And if you can do that, then I think the profession, is going to move forward. I think college football is a big part of that conversation because of the intense interest in this. And certainly with the college football playoff coming into play this year for the first time, which I can imagine the media coverage of that will be off the charts. I mean, is this a perfect profession? No. There's a lot of things we need to work out. Obviously. Is this the first step? Yes. But I honestly think that, we're moving in the right direction. Change is, part of this profession. When the conferences all, realigned, and, that was the conversation 4 or 5 years ago. And now it's restructuring and the power conferences and those type of things. Change isn't necessarily bad if we can continue to enhance, what we're doing, especially for our student athletes.
Some of those challenges include scheduling. There's some interesting things on the horizon. I guess you settled on an 8-game SEC schedule now. And it's going to be challenging down the road. I heard your former assistant, and your colleague, Greg McGarrett, at the University of Georgia, on yesterday with Tony Barnhart, talking about the fact that seeking out of conference games is going to get interesting over the next few years because some of the mid-major, so-called mid-major conference are going to be really in a position with a little bit of leverage because everybody needs to schedule them. Talk about that changing landscape and the home conference and the home schedule and the 8 conference games.
Yeah, well, the football scheduling is always going to be a challenge, and it's one of the things that I have a lot of conversation with our fans about because, and I get it. At times they're not enthralled with our home football schedule. Scheduling can be difficult. First of all, we need 7 home games. We played only 6 last year, and we had to save for 4 or 5 years in a row to make up for the loss of the home gate when we played down in Miami. We're going to play 6 home games in 2017 when we go to Dallas to play Michigan, but that's a significant financial windfall for us. And we work hard on scheduling. I think that people just think that all we do is just call smaller schools to see if they can come in here. We make a lot of inquiries about scheduling, and you're exactly right. Those mid-majors have leverage, and it's not so much that they don't want to come to Gainesville. It's just that they have other opportunities, and you're always working like heck to put a football schedule together. It is not easy. I get the desire of our fans to have a better or a higher a more marquee opponent sometimes in our facility. Sometimes they're hard to get, and it's not due to lack of effort. I promise you. We email people, we call people, we talk to people, but we do need to play 7 home games. We are committed to the 8-game conference schedule. We are committed to playing Georgia in Jacksonville. So our schedule is a little different than most, but we'll continue to work on it. We'll kind of continue to try to enhance what we do for our fans, but it is a moving target, as you yourself just said, and it's not easy. And Greg's right on target. It's going to be harder to schedule some of those non-conference games because everybody's looking to get them.
University of Florida Athletics Director Jeremy Foley is our special guest today for a few more minutes, and I want to get in a couple of questions. Let's talk about Michigan. The economic dynamics of that are remarkable. I had a chance to break that down a little bit. And the fact you don't have to pay the conference any of that money, that's a one-day deal. You're flying in, you fly out from to Texas, and you get a nice big paycheck. Is that the wave of the future?
I think it's a wave of the future for several marquee games a year. I mean, the stadium in Dallas. I don't know if you've been there, buddy, but obviously we played the Final Four there. We played in the NCAA tournament there. It's got 80,000 plus seats. It has the ability to drive a huge fan attendance, which generates the huge dollars. I don't think every game is going to have that type of financial wherewithal on it. But next year or in 2016, I think Alabama's playing Southern California in Dallas. LSU's played Oregon out there. I think you're going to see a few select matchups that are going to be able to generate those type of dollars. I think those are far and few between. I mean, I think you're going to see Dallas being selective on that. You're going to see other, non-conference neutral site games. I just don't think they're going to generate those type of dollars.
Yeah, Georgia's Notre Dame and Georgia, it will be a home-and-home series, I guess, they're talking about playing. But speaking of which, there's a rumor afoot out there, if you can comment on it, that you might be looking at Texas. You and Texas might play a game. Is that any truth to that?
No, we're having no conversation with Texas about that at all.
Right.
I mean, I saw that as well, and that's just that's why they call them rumors. I read that the other day.
Yeah, I wondered about that. I hadn't heard it.
It's just not true.
Yeah. Well, are you okay with the format for the national championship?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I think the format is going to be great. I think it's going to be great for the fans. I think there's some unknowns. I mean, selection committee, of course, is brand new. Before it was, voters and polls and, computer polls and some sort of, combination of all that. Now it's a human committee similar to the basketball tournament. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. It'll be interesting, in my opinion, to see how the semifinal games work out from a fan attendance. Are fans going to all go to the semifinals, or some are going to hold back to go to the championship game? That is all an unknown, but I think the hit for college football in terms of the intention and the focus point, I think it's going to be unbelievable. I think it's going to be very, very special, buddy. I really do.
All-time popularity in college football, and of course the stadium experience hasn't been what everybody wants it to be. I know. I read a story about Michigan's problems the other day. I thought, boy, Florida thought they had problems. Man, it's happening. The millennials have changed the way they do things, and But now, is this new super games you're scheduling, these neutral sites, that does speak to that? Is that a helpful thing for the stadium experience?
I think so, and I think the stadium experience is a challenge, as you said, for everybody. And I mean, and I don't say that in, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? You got to look at the world differently. I mean, I can remember when we played, no matter who we played here, there'd be people outside looking for tickets, and that dynamic's changed. And so we have to change with it, and certainly working on the stadium experience, working on making sure when our fans come here, they have a first-class experience, making sure our students, become, as involved as they can be in what we do, because they're our future. And so, but it has changed. But we're going to continue to work on that, and we're going to continue to try to be very, very proactive in that regard. Because as we start out this whole conversation, we have as good a fan base as any in America. I've had it for a long, long time, and we're never going to take that for granted.
Jeremy, one of the commodities of a successful program, as you would know, is, of course, coaches. They're hard to come by, good ones especially. When you get a good one, you want to keep them. The fact is, coaches do change, just like athletic directors, although you haven't. Many others have. Let's talk about a huge success story, first of all, in Billy Donovan. At this point in time, I don't think Florida basketball has ever been more popular. I don't know how it reflects in the gate. I know you got some things you're doing in the program. But there's a guy you saw at age 29, and you tapped, and you brought him in, and he's been not only a success on the court, but off the court, probably twice as successful as a person. What did you see in Billy Donovan when you hired him, despite the fact he was just a young coach out of Marshall?
Well, buddy, when we went into that search, we went in there with the stated goal, or certainly the desire to do something different than we'd done in the past. Florida basketball had some success in the past, but it was a program just marked with peaks and valleys. And perfect example, just calling like it is. In 1994, we went to the Final Four for the first time in our history, and 2 years later, we won 12 games. That had kind of been our history. We'd always gone after an established coach, whatever have you. So we were looking to find a young up-and-comer. That was the goal. And then you sat down with Billy. I don't care if he was 29 or 19 or 9 years old. It was pretty evident when you sat in front of him. He had the unbelievable energy, unbelievable passion. He had a plan. He'd been a head coach for 2 years already, which was evident. You knew you were talking to a head coach by some of the issues he was dealing with, academics, discipline, recruiting, whatever have you. And then you talk to the people who knew him best, people like Rick Pitino, C.M. Newton, the great basketball coach and athletic director of Kentucky, and it just he certainly made us all look very, very smart. But you thought you had a chance because what people are drawn to Billy now, you said off the court, in the community, the way he is, the way he treats people, his energy, his smile, just his mannerisms. That's what we saw that day. We spent with him, and I can remember coming back here that night, just driving over to John Lombardi's house, our president at the time, saying, "Dr. Lombardi, he's only 29, but this is the guy." And so that's what we saw. And like I said, he's made us all look like we're really, really smart. But at the end of the day, the evolution of Florida basketball, what it's become, and the respect it has around the country is due to one guy's relentless efforts to be successful, and that's Billy. And he's more than delivered on what we saw that day.
I think the McCall family wants to take the credit for the last couple of years, by the way, just because of Matt's success up there. And what a great young assistant he is going to be, and has been for Billy. Let's talk about, you had a great success, Urban Meyer, 2 national championships. You were glad you got to hire another coach. Boy, I tell you, I'd hate to have your job of trying to find a coach, because I thought about that the other day about, boy, who would I go pick for a job? It's hard to find a good coach who's not already making $5 million out there. You saw, I think it's true, something in Will Muschamp that might have resembled a Billy Donovan type of person. Talk about your selection process. What was it about Will that you thought he was the guy?
Well, again, I'm not saying Will and Billy are the same person, but I saw the same energy, I saw the same passion, I saw the same enthusiasm, I saw the same track record in terms of, he'd coached for some of the greats, certainly Nick Saban. He'd coached at the highest level. He'd won a national championship at LSU. He'd coached in a national championship game with the University of Texas. He was designated as the University of Texas's next head coach. Obviously, I know the folks at Texas. I know the type of program they have. They're not just doing that for just some guy off the street. Sat down with Will. He had a plan. Liked the fact he'd recruited in the South before. Obviously, this is all about recruiting, just like Billy, being in Kentucky, recruiting this state, knowing, the Southeastern Conference. That was important. I know obviously all the issues and the challenges as it relates to, the offense under Will since he's been here, but I also think this is a league that you play good defense, you're going to have a chance, and I think Will Will's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. I saw what he did here against us several times. You know, Urban when he had his national championship teams, and obviously we had Tim and Chris Leak, and we spread it out and we scored some points. We had some great defenses, and so obviously we, you know, no secret, we need to figure out the offensive side of the ball. But I mean, you play good defense in this league, you're gonna have a chance to be really, really successful. So add all that together. That's what we saw, and you know, certainly last year was a challenge, which is an understatement. Challenge for all of us, challenge for Gator fans for sure, and not who we are. And we're moving past that. We're not talking about 4-8 anymore. We're into a new year. But my confidence and our confidence in Will has not wavered, because I have also saw how he handled last year. I'm never in a, you know, woe is me, never making excuses, never deer in the headlight. What am I going to do? Guys always has a plan. He had a plan when he got here, and he has a plan to fix this, and confident that he'll do that. But you know, if you were around Billy and Will, you would see some of the same characteristics. You know, unbelievable intensity, unbelievable passion, organizational skills. You know, tremendous recruiters. So again, you certainly hope that all that can translate into great success for our football program under Will. But that's what we saw, and that's what we still see, and that's what we're confident in.
Well, you're stuck by your man, and I posted on my website the fact you'll be the guest today, and I said, do you have questions for Jeremy? And there are lots of them. I can't get any of them in today because another time, but of course they want to know mainly, is there a certain number Will has to reach next year? You know, what kind of turnaround do you expect? Do you obviously feel confident he's going to get it done? Is there anything like that in your mind, or are you just looking for the marked improvement and the offense to be better to be able to know that your guy is on track?
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say to you, buddy. And it's not. I mean, you just said what I would have said to you, because I've been an athletic director now. I'm in my 23rd year. I've never told a coach in any sport at any time, you have to win X number of games, you have to go to the NCAA tournament, you better be in the top 2 in the league. Never done that. Around here, there's enough pressure without me putting that type of pressure on our coaches. Yeah, we need to be better, and you need to be able to see that. Obviously, I think the offensive side is going to be a lot better. I mean, you know, we're all very, very impressed with the job Kurt Roper's done so far. But you got to be able to sit back, you know, and take your orange and blue glasses off and say, you know something, that program is better. There is marked improvement, and we are on track. And you know, and the season as it plays out will tell us that. And so that's how I'd answer that question. I'm not even trying to be evasive. I've never told somebody you better win X number of games. I'm not going to start doing that now. But we'll all know whether we're better. We'll all know whether we're on track. And as I said earlier on, I'm very confident that that's what we're all going to see.
Final thing, Jeremy, and thanks for spending time with us today. We appreciate it, and the fans of Marion County appreciate it very much.
My pleasure.
Talking about improvement, Jeff Driscoll, I personally feel, and others I think do think, he may have a really, really big year. I got to thinking about the heritage of the quarterback position at University of Florida and where it's come from and how it's sort of worked its way through from Steve Spurrier down through Shane Matthews, down through Chris Leak, and on to obviously Tim Tebow and Danny Werfel. And now you get down to a Jeff Driscoll, who was supposed to be a great, great prospect, and still is, by the way, I think. Two things. A, I hear that he is very compatible with Kurt Roper and the way he's been coached, because he has a clear picture in his mind of what he has to do. And secondly, do you share the idea, and I got 30 seconds to get out of the way, that this could be the turnaround year for Driscoll under Kurt Roper?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a coach, buddy, but I mean, I know how hard the guy works. I know the type of kid he is. I mean, I know the track record for Kurt Roper and certainly developing quarterbacks. You know, Jeff Driscoll, I mean, 2 years ago, the guy, you know, led us to 11-1 regular season, you know, and it may not have been as pretty as everybody wanted every time, but that son of a buck can play. He can run, he can throw. You know, at the University of Florida, a quarterback gets a lot of credit, and the quarterback gets a lot of criticism. All I know, I think Jeff Driscoll's a big-time player and a big-time kid, and, I think he's got a chance to have a special year.
Thank you so much, Jeremy, for sharing time with us. We'll see you here in a couple of weeks.
All right, buddy. It's good talking to you as always. Hello, everybody down there for me, and thank you for having me on your show. Thank you.
Jeremy Foley, Athletic Director, University of Florida. Well, we used up all of our break time and everything else, so let's just go ahead to the break. We'll come back, and we'll wrap up what's happening on the program.